Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Sally Berkery. I'm the Managing Director of CEW UK, and I'm delighted to have you all with us for today's webinar. At CEW, our mission is to keep our members connected with the ideas, innovations, and people that are shaping the beauty, personal care, and wellness industries. And few topics are moving as fast or sparking as much curiosity and conversation as AI. That's why I'm so pleased to welcome our speaker today, Natasha Courtney-Smith. She's a CEW board member. She sits on our digital innovation and technology work stream. I think many of you will have seen her at the Future Beauty Summit, our third tech summit this year. We'll be back in the spring next year. She's a fractional CMO and a pioneer in the field of AI and avatars. Tash is known for her futuristic approach to digital marketing and has been at the forefront of exploring how avatars, digital twins, AI influencers, and UGC creators are transforming the way that brands create and scale content. This session today will help us to separate the hype from the reality, looking at where avatars can be used safely and effectively, and where brands need to be cautious. And we'll also take a peek at what's coming next. Please do post any questions you may have in the Q&A panel at the bottom, and we will try and come to those at the end. Please don't panic if we don't get round to all of the questions. We will record all of them and come back to you. And without further ado, please join me in welcoming, I hope it's going to be the real Tash and not her digital twin. At least I think she's real. I just spoke to her a minute ago and the lips were kind of moving in a good way. But I'll hand over to you, Tash, and you can explain. So thanks so much.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Sally. Hello, everyone. Let me just share my screen. Make sure I'm sharing the sound. Okay, now I have got the chat on for today's session. So let me just check I can see. Can you type in the chat so that I can see that people can chat and that I can make sure I can see you? So if I say hello, if people can just type hello back, that would be super helpful. Hello, hi everyone. Right, I can definitely see that. Oh, and I can see some people I know. How wonderful. Right, thank you so much for coming today. This is such an interesting topic. And of course, this is most definitely the real me and not an avatar. And as we go through this webinar, please feel free to ask questions in the chat and I'll either pick them up as we go along or at the end. Okay, so Sally just gave me a wonderful intro. Thank you so much, Sally. That's amazing. So yes, you know, some of you know me already. I'm Tash. I'm a CEW board member, fractional CMO. And due to the work I've done in avatars, I have become a pioneer, which is a global pioneer for HeyGen, which is one of the platforms that's very much used to create avatars. The logos here are some of the brands and tech partners that I'm lucky enough to work for and advise. So covering today's agenda on avatars, digital twins, and hi, Heidi saying hello, the real Tash. Hi, Heidi. Avatars, digital twins, and AI content, which is a huge topic, particularly for brands where many of us also have personal brands, which is the case of the beauty industry. We're going to be covering the avatar landscape, beginner use cases for brands and personal brands, public perception and risks, because this is very much a moving area of marketing that's changing incredibly fast. In the last 12 months, since I've been working in this space and testing in this space, things have changed so much from what you're able to do and how the public react back to AI content, digital twins, and avatars. We're going to look to the future, what I see is going to be happening over the next 6 to 12 months. And I think there will be, well, we'll come on to that. And then I'm also going to show you real case studies of why we won't, including both avatar use in brands and why we shouldn't expect avatars to be going anywhere at all. So if you run a brand, which I think most people on this call will do, you'll all know the tyranny that we now live in of how much content has to be produced, thanks to the rise of channels like TikTok and the shifting in algorithms, which have moved from followers-based and networks-based algorithms into interest-based algorithms. These are the algorithms that vertical videos primarily use across TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, Facebook Reels, and they are hungry, hungry beasts. So I work in nearly all of the brands that I work with. The creative teams are under huge pressure to produce more and more content. And founders, CEOs, and people within the brands are also under pressure to do more and more content as the figureheads of such brands. So I came into AI avatars around 12 months ago, quite early as AI avatars were adopted, wondering if they could be, what was going to be their role for efficiency, scale, and as a content engine. And during the year I've spent with avatars out in testing in many different formats, which I'll be showing you, it's become very clear that things aren't quite as straightforward, and there definitely are considerations that you should take before you roll out avatars within your brand. And we'll go through those very, very clearly. And I just want to say that I'm a firm believer in only talking about things that I know, not talking from theory, which is why I would only do a webinar like this now 12 months into my own journey with a number of avatars, and you'll be seeing them, and my own marketing systems that are live and tested in the real landscape to members of the public, so that I'm not talking from theory, I'm talking from actual experience and live testing. So back in 2016, I wrote a book called Stand Out Online, which was all about personal brands. And it's a very good book, but I will say it's now completely out of date. But the theories in terms of the execution of a personal brand, we're now nearly 10 years on from that, channels, content, everything has changed. However, the theories of this book are extremely relevant, and they are, and we all know this working in beauty, where many of us have personal brands, that people buy from people. And does that now mean people will create avatars themselves, and will the public now buy from avatars and engage with avatars? And if that's the case, can an avatar be an extension of a personal brand? And that's what we're going to be looking at today. And actually, since doing this work in avatars, I've been thinking about this book really needs to be updated to bring this work in. So I'm going to start by telling you and sharing what essentially is an avatar. There are two types of avatars. There's a personal brand avatar, which is essentially a digital version of me or you that is an exact extension of yourself. Then there are character-based fictional avatars, which are essentially characters that now, thanks to AI tools, you can design. And this, you can think of these fictional characters, fictional avatars, in the same way as, you know, you can think about characters like Mickey Mouse, essentially an animation. An avatar is essentially a modern way of creating a fictional avatar is a modern way of coming up with a creative concept, whether that's, we've seen them all over LinkedIn, a made-up character, a talking animal, and deploying it as some sort of character in the same way as animated characters were previously deployed, although these look a lot more realistic. Once you've got that, the idea that the avatar is either a version of yourself or a character, you're then looking at two different types of avatar. One is a simple presenting avatar, and you can see that on the left. Essentially, that is a 2D avatar that will appear on the screen in the exact same way you appear on the screen when you're presenting something to the camera. So you're in 2D and you're talking to the camera. The next is a character avatar, which is a 3D avatar, which you can create and put into a landscape. So you can create a character, and this is not necessarily so relevant to brands, but it is relevant to the avatar landscape. You can create a character, and then you can put that character into anywhere you want. Essentially, anything that's in your imagination can become real when you're dealing with a 3D character avatar. So that's where avatars start. There's a 2D version or a 3D version. In the land of brands, based on where we are right now, most brands would only be dealing with a 2D avatar, a presenting avatar that essentially presents the camera. By the way, if there are any questions as we go along, feel free to drop them in the chat because I can see the chat. Then there is the distinction between a deep fake and an avatar. Now, essentially, we've all heard about deep fakes. And when avatars are out in the landscape, one of the questions you often get asked by members of the public is this a deep fake? It really comes down to the intent. The tools to create an avatar of, say, myself or yourself or a deep fake are pretty much exactly the same. However, it all comes down to the intent and purpose. So an avatar that you have created for a positive purpose that you own and you control is known as an avatar and called an avatar or a digital twin. A deep fake is generally created for exploitative reasons. Stephen Bartlett was on LinkedIn recently saying how people have created deep fakes of him, and those deep fakes have been sort of luring people into funnels that are attempting to extract money from them into some sort of crypto scheme, making it look like Stephen Bartlett's running a crypto scheme. He went on LinkedIn and said he's absolutely not. That is a deep fake. Ironically, the output, the avatar, is the same as an avatar that he would have created himself. It's all about its purpose. And in that instance, the purpose of the deep fake was purely to pretend to be him, manipulate the public, and exploit cash. Whereas the purpose of an avatar is generally to represent your brand or your business and to extend yourself. So that's the difference between a deep fake and an avatar or a digital twin. Now, I first launched avatars a year ago on TikTok. At the time, I had a content series running on TikTok, which was teaching children entrepreneurship. And it was just a fun project I did with my daughter. And obviously, like anyone who's creating content, you immediately face the hurdle of, oh my goodness, how am I going to do more and more content? Avatar Tech was moving into the UK, and we created this version of me on the left, which we now call version 1. The reason it's now called version 1 is it's essentially been retired. It's as you go through your journey of learning how to create an avatar, the avatar itself improves, both as the technology improves and you understand how to film more to create an avatar. So over the past 12 months, we have created 5 versions of my digital twin, all of which have been out and testing across TikTok and YouTube. You can see version 1, 2, 3, 4, and then version 5. All of the versions 1, 2, 3, and 4 are essentially 2D avatars that present to screen and talk just as I'm talking now. So what I'm delivering now could be delivered by, say, version 2, 3, or 4 of the avatar. Version 5 is a character avatar that is a 3D avatar and goes into a different landscape. And the reason we did that is because I wanted to ensure that I was absolutely at the forefront of avatar technology and avatar capability and understanding avatars. From each iteration of this avatar, the key learnings have been around the raw footage, how you film your avatar to the camera, and making sure that you're thinking about what your avatar is going to be. Essentially, we all know that AI is only as good as the base material. So the base material is really, really important. And then secondly, how to edit the avatar. If you were to look back at version 1, you can see it's quite clumsy, its hands all over the place. It does a lot of gesticulation. There's a lot of this type of movement going on. There's awkward sort of pauses in it and glitches. And that is down to how we edit it. So the key learnings from each evolution of being the avatar have been around the raw footage and how to edit the avatar. Now, can you put in the chat if any of you have seen posts like this on LinkedIn? Because I've seen quite a lot of them where people are saying they've made 2.9 million in 90 days with AI influencers as AI avatars. How have they done it? This guy, his post went so viral, LinkedIn actually blocked him. This is a guy that I know, and he basically has created a system to create AI influencers at scale, so avatars, post UGC content every day. And as you can see here, he's saying he made 2.157 million in revenue with creators that don't even exist. And this, I've seen a lot of this type of content on LinkedIn, and it gets a huge amount of engagement from brands, understandably, because brands, all of us know the cost and logistical challenges of managing influencers at scale. So across our ecosystem, we're seeing posts like this increasing on LinkedIn as more and more people are getting into avatar technology. Meanwhile, on the TikTok shop, and I don't know if anyone else has seen this, but there's a rise in avatars actually presenting for brands. This brand here, Pure Health Lectures, is actually 100% an avatar brand in which avatars deliver lectures about various ingredients, vitamins, minerals, health conditions, directing people through to products on the TikTok shop. This brand has a number of avatars that sit in front of podcast studios like this man here, or stand on stage talking about things just as we would as brand founders. This is now being done by avatar, directly selling products in the TikTok shop. So we can absolutely see that the use of avatars is increasing. So I'm going to run through my personal use of avatars in the digital landscape and the key learnings around that. So first of all, where I've used avatars is to host social media content on TikTok and YouTube. So this is what I've been talking about. We all have to do a lot of content. It takes a lot of time. It drives a lot of cost. Can the avatar do this at scale? So my avatar has been out on TikTok for a year, presenting content largely to, about 6 months ago, this was largely to children and Gen A, and now it's to adults. And that has really streamlined our production, and it's enabled consistent publishing when I just have not been there. So, people often say you do so much. And I'm thinking, well, I have an avatar that also does a lot. I cannot tell you how fantastic the avatar has been for increasing and maintaining content output when I'm doing things in the real world that we all have to do, like work, etc. I have a brand called the Notting Hill Shopping Bag. This is one of the brands in my portfolio. Now, this is largely a retail brand, which has made it, it's a couple of shops on Portobello Road. Many of you will know it. And it's meant our social media landscape, we're not reliant on it at all for revenue, which has made it the perfect testing ground to see the reactions of the members of the public. So across the Notting Hill Shopping Bag for about 8 months, we've had UGC presenters, real ones and avatars, presenting for the Notting Hill shopping bag, just so we can see exactly how they go and how the public react to them. Separately, on that same TikTok and YouTube feed, we have rolled out FAQ avatars. Now, in the instance of this, our main customers are tourists visiting Notting Hill on their visit to London. So we have rolled out virtual tour guides who answer essentially FAQ. So this would be a very similar type of content to you answering your customers' regular questions. So our customers' regular questions revolve around things like where are certain things in Notting Hill, et cetera, et cetera. We have our virtual tour guides branded as AI tour guides, and they answer all of these questions for visitors. These have been phenomenally successful in terms of people watching the videos and the avatars answering common questions for us and allowing us to expand our TikTok content in a way we absolutely would not be able to do if one of us had to film the answers to all of these questions. The avatar has also stepped in for things like when I've wanted to reply to questions on TikTok and just haven't had the time to film. So this is an avatar here. This is not the real me. This is the avatar taking viewers' questions on TikTok and answering them. This has also been really useful. All of you who have TikTok feeds will know the time when you're like, oh my goodness, I need to get back to all these people. I need to make this content, and you can't. The avatar has then done this for me. And finally, in terms of a 3D avatar, as a personal hobby, I make music, and the avatar, I've created a 3D avatar that presents music for me. This has been an absolutely brilliant test. And well, first of all, it's creativity and skills that I simply do not have in real life. And it's also been an absolutely brilliant test of the use of a character avatar for creativity. This would not be relevant necessarily to brands. This would be more relevant to people, say creators, influencers, models, celebrities, or anybody who would want this type of avatar in a 3D landscape. What's fantastic is that the avatar has now fully taken over performance duties, which were previously handled by would have to have been handled by humans. And it's also given an elevation to content that would simply have been completely unaffordable and logistically impossible to have without the avatar. So let's come on to some of those results. So what we found in terms of the brand is that the AI UGC 100% outperforms our sort of general, regular, real customer content. Now, this is most likely in terms of its first views up front. This is most likely because we're able to completely control what it says and use hooks and completely control the visuals. By contrast, when our customers make content about this brand, which they do all the time, we're incredibly grateful for, we cannot control what they say, and a real customer may not know how to use hooks and visual content effectively. However, we do see that in contrast, the real UGC does achieve higher retention, which means that people, there is something a little bit strange about an avatar, as any of you will know when you're watching it. There's a voice in your head that says, wait, am I watching an AI? What is this? And you don't get that when people watch real UGC. So the real UGC has longer retention rates. The one thing I will say about this is we're so early in this avatar landscape that how this plays out over time really does remain to be seen. We've also found that the content type beats the content origin. So the avatar, the AI UGC, does deliver better value because it directly responds to things we know our customers are asking. We can take actual search terms, things real people ask us, and answer real questions. So this absolutely performs when we are answering real customer questions, and it then surpasses our real UGC. And on a general week, we put out mixed content, both AI content and real UGC, and we generally find out over the course of a week, we all know that some content does better than others, et cetera, that the view counts between both formats level out. So what does this mean for us as a brand, as a retail brand? Well, it means that we're very lucky as a brand because we have a huge amount of real customer UGC coming to us anyway, but it means that we don't have to worry about volume because we can maintain volume thanks to the AI UGC and the AI avatars, regardless of what our real customers actually share and send to us. So it means that we can strategically increase our volume of output using the avatars to pick up on, say, shortfalls you'd have. And it also means we don't need to run paid UGC campaigns because we use a mix of real customer content and AI avatar content. So we feel this has been phenomenally successful and is only going to grow as time goes on. And then in another use case, and this is really to say how this is not going to go away. I don't believe this technology is going to go away. And these are 3 use cases outside of brands and us doing content for brands that really show how sophisticated this technology is becoming and how useful it's becoming. This is an agency that I'm a shareholder in, an affiliate agency. In this business, we have created a very unique type of AI avatar of our CEO, which is also able to analyze campaigns, engage in interactive content, and screen share and read decks. This means our CEO is able to deliver hours of, if you wanted to, of time analyzing campaigns, discussing campaigns, looking for opportunities in the same way as, say, an AI analytics platform would, delivered by our CEO. And that's absolutely brilliant for campaign analysis and account management. We simply would not be able to do this for our brands in this agency without this avatar. So this is a more sophisticated avatar than the one that I personally use, because this is interactive and does analysis as well. There will be no doubt that as agencies develop, as agencies understand this, more and more businesses will be using this type of avatar to manage clients, provide analysis on campaigns. So that's an example of an avatar use case outside of a brand. And then going into more serious areas where we're seeing avatars come into play. This is a recent illustration. I'll just play this quickly, of an avatar made to give a victim impact statement from a man killed in a road rage incident. Now, this avatar was submitted to a court in America where he gave his victim impact statement to the jury. And I'll just play a couple of seconds of this now so you can see it.
Hello. Just to be clear for everyone seeing this, I am a version of Chris Pelkey recreated through AI that uses my picture and my voice profile. I was able to be digitally regenerated to share with you today. But here is insight into who I actually was in real life. Take a look.
All right, I'm Chris Pelkey.
After that avatar was played in the court, the judge handed down a sentence that was longer than the recommended sentence for this particular crime, because of being able to hear from the dead person via the avatar. If we can imagine that's been done in court once in America, it will not be long before it becomes more and more commonplace in court, for as long as avatars are allowed to be submitted. And separately, in another use case, again beyond marketing, that shows the seriousness with which people see avatar technology, Albania has appointed the world's first AI avatar minister, who is actually responding via AI and able to interact with questions. It has at the moment no real ministerial power over manual contracts, but that's an illustration of a government moving forward to appoint an avatar visual, this only happened this week. I have to say it was pretty, I saw it and thought, my goodness, like, this is really getting adopted if we have this happening. Okay, so I'll come on to questions in a minute. So, Kerry's got a quick question. Is this only for brands appealing to Gen Z and those on TikTok? No, absolutely not, Kerry. I think it's for any brand where there's somebody, a figurehead, who needs to do more content. Essentially, in my use case, which I tend to test things on TikTok and on YouTube, that's where my audience on TikTok particular is a Gen A and quite young audience. But on my YouTube channel, my avatar presents things that are just useful information. I think for any brand who has a personal brand who needs to be deployed to create more content, this is where avatars will come in. So let's talk about the benefits for brands and handling some of the risks. So the benefits are pretty obvious, which are 24/7 content creation. By the way, the avatar doesn't create content itself. You still need to essentially manage the avatar, create the avatar, run content workflows for the avatar, and decide what the avatar is going to say. But essentially, many brands are hindered by the availability of whoever's role it is to film content, whether that's the founder, the CEO. And I know many teams where they're waiting to get at time with these people who are already really busy to film content. An avatar of that person completely takes away that that challenge. The next is efficiency and scale. As we all know, time is money. When people are doing shoots, they tend to want to, get their hair done, and they want to, and it requires someone to film. All of that costs money. The avatar essentially is the same as typing a Word document. You just type what it's going to say once the avatar is set up, and it then delivers the content. Delivers great continuity because essentially you can create however many avatars you want of the figurehead and just roll them out over time. And it also gives creative reach beyond human limits. And you particularly see that with 3D avatars like the one I've shown you, which is presenting music videos. That is an enhancement of creativity, something that absolutely I would not have been able to do in the real world at all. However, there is also risk and resistance around avatars. In particular, many of you may have seen Duolingo released a statement saying that it was going to do a number of its educational and replace people with AI. It resulted in a huge backlash of people leaving Duolingo. What was really interesting was at that point in time, I had various avatars out on TikTok, and my avatars immediately got backlash about Duolingo. So I'm nothing to do with Duolingo, don't know anybody there, I've never worked there. And my avatars immediately got a kind of, huge number of comments saying about people leaving Duolingo. So that created a negative halo effect across the public. The second thing that causes an issue is everybody feels, how we all do, what's happening with AI. Is it going to take our jobs? So there is this phrase AI slop is something that's said to people when they're talking about content created using AI. There are a lot of people, particularly who work in art and content creation, and who have put years, as we all feel with the rise of AI, where is this going to go? How's it going to affect our jobs? What's going to happen next? People feel extremely strongly about this, particularly across the arts. So I've noticed with my avatars, it will come in waves where essentially your avatar will be out and it will be completely normal. And then there'll be a wave of people saying about AI, and all these points that people make are completely right. AI is bad for the environment. We shouldn't use AI. What's going to happen to all of our jobs? I mean, these are not questions that I know the answers to or have the answers to at all. But I think it's really interesting to receive the questions. And that's one of the reasons I put myself on the front line in this, so that I can see how the public are reacting. I would say this type of reaction is in the minority of the contents I receive. But for you guys as brands, I think this is something that's really important to consider. I think for me as a personal brand and somebody who works in, who's known for futuristic marketing, it's useful for me to hear this because it means I can share it with all of you. But if you were a brand and you were getting this type of content, that could cause business risk, and it's something that you really should consider. However, one thing I will say is that in the past 12 months, the technology has changed so much and it's moving so fast. It's difficult to see how, when you've got governments using avatars, you've got avatars giving victim impact statements in court, you've got companies like HeyGen rolling out huge waves of AI avatars. You've got people from brands talking about how they've made $2 million in 24 hours by whatever that guy said he'd released thousands of AI creators. It's really difficult to see that this technology is not going to evolve and become a commonplace over a relatively short period of time, despite the backlash on it presently. So I do feel that the reception to my avatars V1 to V5 have been relatively positive, despite having encountered, the wave of backlash about Duolingo and some comments about AI use in general. One of the reasons I believe my avatars have been accepted, there's a few reasons I believe my avatars have been accepted. First, I've been completely transparent all the way through, largely across TikTok on YouTube, about creating and testing AI avatars. We have even rolled them out and tested them with the audience. So it really has been a community co-creation process in terms of the avatar and its use. And lots of my audience will say, oh, is it the avatar? Oh no, I prefer the real Tash. Other people say, we know it's not you, but we accept it is a representation of you. Or they say, we know it's not you, but we accept it is you, like they know it's not gone rogue. I think another thing that's really important about avatars is that they're anchored in real identity. So I think when it comes to made up characters, it's a different area than most of us would naturally find ourselves in. I think an avatar anchored in real identity is important because then you know that it is a representation of the person. It's just a different content format, in the same way as writing a newsletter is a different content format to delivering a video. So community buy-in is really important. Last year, we ran a lot of content like this, where we rotated between the real me and the AI me to to be able to see, so we could show people how the avatar was so similar to the real me and also how it was different. So we were very open and transparent as we rolled out the avatar. However, this was 2024. We're now in September 2025. So things are quite different now. And I don't think you would need to go to this extent of trying to explain to your audience what you're doing. This time last year, it was extremely new, and I needed to go to that extent of explaining to the audience what exactly I was doing. So coming on to the workflow, and then we'll come on to some of the questions. Essentially, the workflow is extremely simple. If you imagine all the things that take time, filming, getting videos, transferring clips, making sure you're ready to present to camera, getting it wrong, not feeling like it, all of that sort of stuff, all of that is removed. Essentially, you decide what you want the avatar, you build the avatar first, and then you decide what you want the avatar to say. You write the script. We use AI to write the scripts, and then the avatar then reads the scripts. The clips then go to my offshore team called the Edit Squad for edit, and my team have become very skilled in how exactly to edit avatar clips to ensure that they look good and are accepted, and then they go to distribution. So everything from the post, upfront, production, pre-production, thinking around a shoot is removed. Essentially, you go straight to clip generation, editing, and distribution, which allows content to be batched very efficiently. So a few tips for editing avatars. So one thing we found is that avatars alone are too artificial. If you were to just take an avatar output of me talking to camera, it would just seem too weird. Like, it just is not right. It's just a bit odd. It's a bit jilted. There's something a bit strange about it. I can't exactly say what. The way we've got around this is we normally put the avatar into 1.2 speed, which just helps it appear more natural. We put in a lot, we tend to green screen the avatar so that we can move it around screen. In this particular format, I can see Kerry's asked about brands appealing to Gen Z and those on TikTok. This is a very well-known TikTok format, the green screen, where you move the avatar around the screen. This works particularly well because it kind of breaks the avatar up. An avatar just talking by itself is just not quite there yet. So we always green screen it, the avatar of me, and we green screen it for brands as well. And the next thing we do is always introduce it as an AI avatar. We say this is AI Tash. We put a label on the screen saying AI or avatar Tash. We never want to be seen as being disingenuous about the use of AI or the use of avatars. Another thing that's happened in the past few months is on both TikTok and YouTube, you now also have to select if your content is AI generated. So even if we are using, we often mix content. So we'll mix the real person through to the avatar. Even in that instance, we always label the content as AI generated. As soon as an avatar's in it, even if there's an avatar in content only for a couple of seconds, we label the content as AI generated. So as to not be disingenuous about the use of AI in content. So a few things that I've seen coming down the line, which are quite, interesting and alarming, and nothing to do with brands, but just to do with the rise of AI in general, is if you imagine a character avatar, a 3D avatar, whether that's a Mickey Mouse or whether it's a 3D avatar of yourself, and then you imagine a system whereby the AI self-prompts itself. And some people who are a lot better at AI than me have this. So the guys who put out, 2,000 avatar generated TikToks, they're not typing that themselves. They're running AI scripts to script the avatar, and then the AI creates the content and then it publishes. The whole thing is automated. There's been a rise in really creative but very Black Mirror-esque content with featuring avatars trapped inside screens, basically devastated to realize that they're not human and that they are just being prompted. And I mean, who knows what will happen in that regard, but you can imagine an automated AI system where an avatar essentially takes on a life of its own. And it's just interesting food for thought. I have no answers on that whatsoever, but that's something that is rising in terms of people making, thought-provoking content about avatars and where they go next. Okay, so we'll come on to some of the practicalities of how to get started with avatars and how to create them. And in particular, the main tool that you would mostly use at first is HeyGen. And I'm going to, at the end, I'll be sharing a link to HeyGen that you can all click and sign up to. HeyGen is the #1 platform for 2D presenting avatars. And HeyGen, in the 12 months I've used HeyGen, has come on so much. It's unbelievable what you can do in there. There are hundreds and hundreds. So not only can you create an avatar of yourself very, very easily, there are hundreds and hundreds of UGC creators now doing all sorts of things, sitting in cars, all sorts of things ready for use for brands, their products. More sophisticated tools are things like Kling AI and Runway. You wouldn't really be using those if you were just starting out with avatars. They're the tools that are used to create 3D avatars. They are just another software platform. They're all the same thing. They all charge you a monthly subscription of $29.99, $39.99, whatever. It's all the same type of stuff, just like much of the technology we use inside our Shopify tech stacks now. HeyGen is where to get started. Kling and Runway are much more advanced. 2D avatars are simple and 3D avatars are much more advanced and a lot more time consuming to create. So let me play you this video, which is an example of the HeyGen avatar in action. By the way, when I played the last video, did the sound go through all right? I hope so. Just type yes if the sound did go through. And I'll just play this. So this is an early HeyGen avatar. This is version 2 of my avatar. So we do still use version 2. And this is the version 2 avatar created in HeyGen, exported and edited. As I explained, we slightly speed it up, green screen, and use jump cuts to help the video.
What if I told you that I'm not actually real? You're actually watching an AI avatar of myself. As crazy as this is, I use a tool called HeyGen to create my digital twin. In less than 10 minutes, AI Tash was created. All I had to do was record a short video of myself talking and HeyGen does the rest. My digital twin can say whatever I want her to say. Combined with other AI tools, the possibilities for AI Tash are endless. But the question is, what would you use your AI avatar for?
That's a very short video of version 2 of my AI avatar in action. Okay, so before we go to questions, here's where I believe things are going. I think it's very easy to get kind of blown away by avatars in terms of, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. What does it all mean, et cetera, et cetera. Where's it going to go? And trust me, those are some of the thoughts I have as well. Essentially, if you are a brand that has to create content and you have a figurehead who needs to create content, then over time, I believe they will be seen as infrastructure, not gimmicks. So as part of your content processes, your content systems, and the way in which you create content. And they will become this because they're being used across many, many industries. And it's simply going to be a matter of economics. If the avatar can present almost exactly as you do, and bearing in mind we're only 1 year in, where will it be this time next year, and do it faster and at lower cost and at higher volume, it's very difficult to see how they're not going to be adapted, and that they will be infrastructure, not a gimmick. I believe that brands, if you are interested in this, must start small and very transparently and strategically. The safest place to start is with FAQs, which would be the simple questions your customers are asking all the time that you might have a FAQ section on your website or on YouTube, and to be very clear and say, this is the avatar of whoever it is, your head of product, your CEO, your founder, answering some of the customer questions, and to test how your audience in particular responds to them. And finally, I don't believe avatars are about replacing humans in a world where we have to produce more and more content to get ahead and to get cut through. I see that they are about scaling output, not replacing humans. Okay, so here's my QR code for HeyGen. Just if you want to click on that, that will take you through to the HeyGen website where you're able to sign up. And if anyone wants direct support from HeyGen, I work with them really closely, so just contact me and let me know. And then I think we'll come on to some questions. But first of all, I hope that's been useful and interesting. I actually have on LinkedIn a white paper that I wrote about avatars, which goes into a lot more detail about the the good things, the bad things, the macroeconomics picture and how avatars fit in. So let me just come now to the questions. Right, hang on, let me just so if you've got any questions, either type them into the chat or type them into the Q&A. Okay, so Namita, what's the best tool 11 Labs are CADs. Okay, the one thing I will say about tools is there is no best tool. There's a lot of different tools. And in the same way as you might choose for your Shopify, CRO solution, you're going to use tool A or tool B. That's what we're facing here. So 11 Labs is a brilliant tool for audio. When it comes to the 2D avatar, personally, I use HeyGen. The main thing is not about what's the best tool, I don't think. It's about the cost and the learning curve. So it's about creating your own tech stack. So my tech stack for my avatars, we don't use 11 Labs at all, actually, Namita. We use voices we will do in HeyGen. Our HeyGen, Kling, Runway, and Krea. But that's my tech stack. And lots of people have other different ideas. And it's mainly about which is the one you learned first that does what you want it to do. It's very easy to get distracted and start jumping around tool. It's the same as with any SaaS platform that you download or try to use. Every single one has a learning curve. Some are easier to learn than others. If you change tools, you have to go through another learning path. If you're wanting to get really into 3D avatars and character creation, then you would use a lot of different tools, i.e. people who are making AI movies. There's a brilliant tool called Higgsfield, actually, which we use for some of the music videos, and they create special effects and all sorts of things. It's a tool that's a specialist tool in special effects. That is way down the line for getting started and much harder to use. I would simply get started by using HeyGen, which will cover your 2D avatar and your voice. All you have to do is record a 2-minute video of yourself and put it into HeyGen. I will give you a tip, which is the best avatars out of HeyGen for me have come from uploading live streams into HeyGen. Remember, it's all about the base material. One of the reasons that the first version of the avatar is artificial and has too much hand movement is because when I was recording it, I was being artificial and had too much hand movement. I was thinking, oh my God, I'm recording my avatar. I've got to get it right. And I went into some sort of presenter mode, which just didn't land naturally. Actually, if you just take live stream content and upload it into HeyGen, you get a very natural avatar. Okay, Tiana, how expensive is it to create an avatar? A 2D avatar is shockingly cheap. I mean, I actually don't know the cost of HeyGen. It's $29.99 or $39.99 a month, something like that. That is your cost of creating an avatar. That and 2 minutes of your time filming the avatar. So if you compare that to the cost of, say, filming content, particularly if you're, in order to film, you book a videographer and you don't feel comfortable filming into your own phone, then you can see how it becomes much more efficient. I think there's some questions in the Q&A. What are my thoughts on the use of AI for content creation in general outside of avatars for branded content? Yes, so this is another question, which is, I don't know if anyone saw on LinkedIn yesterday, there was an incredible advert from Starbucks, and they'd obviously spent a fortune, on a location shoot and models and all this sort of stuff. And someone had created the exact same advert through AI prompts for about $150. I think it's going to happen. I'm not one to, I don't know if it's right or if it's wrong. We all know there's massive job disruption coming up because of the use of AI. And I can't see how there's any avoiding that. I feel that is going to happen. So my thoughts on the use of AI for content generation outside of avatars are it's definitely going to happen. It's probably a good idea to get your teams trained on it. One thing I've really noticed over the past year is it used to be impossible to get a product inside an AI generated content. Now it's much, much easier. There's still sometimes challenges around products with letters on them and labels, but it's much, much easier. My team are able to create product images at such low cost. So the sorts of images you do a photo shoot for a Shopify website, my team are doing these for brands at incredible low cost, incredibly fast. And I just feel it's coming. So my thoughts are that you should begin to get trained and understand the AI tools available for content creation, from product shots through to avatars. Carmen saying, be interesting to see the courts in England and Wales adopt this. Yes, Carmen, I completely agree. I found it, this is in relation to the deceased man who gave his victim impact statement in an American court, which directly resulted in a longer sentence to the offender than was the recommended sentence for that crime. it's almost impossible to imagine that being rolled out in the courts of England and Wales, as you say, but who knows what will happen. This wasn't, the guy wasn't giving evidence though, Carmen, in terms of hearsay. He was giving the victim impact statement following the hearing of the evidence. But yes, who knows what will happen, whether that will be delivered in court. But I would think many families of somebody who has been killed, if they see that, they see what happened in that American court, you can understand why they would want to be able to do the same thing in any court around the world. Does Meta allow AI avatar in ads at the moment if you are transparent? Nicola, I believe it does. That's a really interesting question, because I haven't run any AI avatar ads on Meta. I have on TikTok. TikTok is very pro AI avatars. They have a whole AI avatar content creation studio inside TikTok in order to kind of encourage the use of avatars or make it easy for people to use avatars. I think all the platforms are looking at the use of AI. So my understanding is that all platforms now require you to declare that your content is AI generated. In terms of direct response ads on Meta, I haven't seen direct response ads on Meta featuring avatars. If I was to run them, I would run it for myself first before I ran it for any brands, just because there may be risks associated with that. Okay, what do I do if there's team resistance to AI content? I mean, I don't know the answer to that. I feel the pain. And many of you know, as my background, I had an agency with a creative team, and the creative team I run now is entirely different in its structure to the creative team that I had built in that agency 2 or 3 years ago. In terms of my creative team now is all offshore. We embrace the use of AI tech for cost efficiency, output, and driving the business forward reasons. I think there will be team resistance to AI content, because it's understandable. We all feel resistant to AI change, and I don't have the answer in what to do about it, other than, I guess, try and encourage your team. It's the good thing about it is it's not taking jobs. It does allow more creativity. My personal experience of AI content is that it has allowed more creativity and more output, and it's made life so much easier. So perhaps you could sort of suggest that to your team, but it's a very difficult, the use of AI across business as a whole is something that affects us all and is a difficult topic. Okay, I think I've answered some of this. One more question. How do I see the use of AI avatars and digital twins evolving over the next 2 to 3 years? I mean, in 1 year, we've gone from literally no idea, and this is me, no idea what an AI avatar was or how it would work, to testing it. And now for me, and I'm in various communities, avatar-based communities in America, where there's huge numbers of people developing avatars. We have marketing leaders like Gary Vaynerchuk saying that everyone will have a digital twin, and there will soon be more AI avatars in the world than there are people. It's hard to know where it's going to end up. It really, really is. But I do think if we just think about it practically, I think that brands will use AI avatars and digital twins more and more as the public accept them. I think the correlation between usage for a brand or a business will directly align with how they birth their avatar into the world, how they handle it, how they roll it out, that they get support from their customers and their communities, and that it lands well. And because of cost reasons and efficiency reasons and output reasons, it's difficult to see how the use of avatars is not going to carry on increasing. Okay, so I think I've got, Sally, I can see you coming back. Let me just stop screen.
I'm coming back, and it's the real me.
I can see you coming back. And this is the real me as well.
It's the real me. It's real. Thank you so much, Tash. It was a really interesting session. They always are. And thank you to everybody for joining us this afternoon. I know that we'll be back with this topic. It's been a big focus of CEW Future Beauty the last couple of years. And I would imagine next spring, when we're back on the stage, we will have had 10 conversations before then, before it's on the stage again. And it's clear, AI and avatars, kind of scary, but you need to know about them. You need to know how they can be incorporated into businesses. So I hope that today's discussion has given everybody inspiration and some sort of guidance. So if you leave it and think, oh my gosh, I wish I'd asked that, do get in touch with us. We'd be very, very happy to help. We try to bring you opportunities to explore trends and technologies that are shaping the industry. So please keep an eye out on all of our events. I'm afraid the poor team at CEW have loads of events and webinars this autumn. It's all on our social, on our website. So keep an eye out for things. I think we've even got an event on Thursday this week. We have in person. But for now, thank you, Tash. It was fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much. And thanks to everyone for coming. And I hope you found that useful. Just drop me an email if there's any questions.
Fantastic. And thank you everybody for joining us. It's always lovely to see you, whether it's virtually or in person, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. So thank you. See you soon.